Picture me, Ayesha Jackson, 28 years young, standing 5 feet 7 inches tall with curves that command every room I enter, mahogany skin glowing like polished ebony under the golden Atlanta sun, long box braids cascading down my back like a warrior's crown, full lips often painted a fierce red that says don't test me, and hips that sway with the confidence of someone who knows her worth down to the penny. Born and raised in the heart of the A-town streets where East Atlanta Village meets Buckhead Highway, where Granny taught me that silence ain't weakness, it's strategy, where Mama showed me how to smile through storms and strike when they least expect it, I'm a cybersecurity analyst by day, slicing through digital firewalls with the precision of a surgeon performing open-heart surgery, and a storyteller by night, weaving tales that hit harder than a right hook from Serena Williams in her prime. My childhood was zoned through and through hot summers playing double dutch on cracked sidewalks while ice cream trucks chimed their siren songs, Granny's front porch where she'd snap green beans into a metal bowl and drop wisdom about men being dogs but good women being lion tamers, Sunday dinners at Greater Bethany Baptist where Sister Jenkins would catch the Holy Ghost right during the offering plate and Reverend Hayes would preach fire and brimstone about the consequences of sin while half the deacons were sleeping with the choir members. I learned early that Atlanta was a city of contradictions, old money Buckhead mansions sitting pretty while the West End struggled, tech bros flooding midtown penthouses while Sweet Auburn's history crumbled into condos, trap music blasting from Camaros with 30-day tags while Spelman girls sipped mimosas at brunch spots charging $18 for avocado toast. But through it all, through the gentrification and the culture clash, through the MARTA delays and the summer heat that makes your edges sweat out by 9 a.m., I learned one critical truth. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. For 3 solid years, I'd been with Jamal, 6'2" of fine black excellence, dreadlocks twisted just right with that fresh retwist every 2 weeks at Q's barbershop on MLK, skin the color of dark chocolate Hershey's with a smile that could sell ice to Eskimos. A tech manager at that sleek downtown firm pulling 6 figures and always flexing it, always making sure everybody knew he was making moves, driving that shiny midnight blue BMW 5 Series with the custom rims that probably cost more than my first car, rocking Balenciaga sneakers and off-white hoodies like he owned stock in Virgil Abloh's estate, and flashing that rose gold Rolex I'd helped him pick out for his 30th birthday like it was the crown jewels. We were the couple everyone envied on Instagram, the #relationship goals #magnet matching his and hers Rolexes that cost a combined $25,000, weekend brunches at 2 urban licks where we'd post photos of shrimp and grits with champagne mimosas while the sun hit our faces just right, date nights at STK Steakhouse where he'd order the $80 wagyu and I'd get the lobster tail and we'd split a bottle of Quemas Cabernet that cost more than some people's rent, and dreams of a midtown wedding with the skyline as our backdrop, maybe at Ventanas or the Georgian Terrace, somewhere with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view that said we made it. I thought he was my forever king, my black king, the man Granny would approve of despite her saying baby, don't rush into nothing, test the water 'fore you dive in, the man Mama would brag about at her book club meetings, the man who'd build an empire with me brick by brick, the man who'd father my future children and teach them about generational wealth and breaking cycles and being twice as good to get half as much. I thought we were building something real, something that would outlast the Snapchat relationships and situationships that plagued our generation, something that would make it past the 7-year itch and into that still in love after 40 years territory that couples post about on Facebook with grainy wedding photos and captions about God's faithfulness. Turns out, he was just a pawn in my rise, a character actor in my origin story, a stepping stone on my path to becoming the woman I was always meant to be. It all shattered on a drizzly Tuesday in October, the kind of grey morning where the rain taps against the penthouse windows like impatient fingers demanding secrets, where the Atlanta skyline disappears behind sheets of water and the traffic on I-85 becomes a parking lot of frustrated commuters laying on horns that echo through the concrete jungle. Jamal was in the shower, steam billowing out from under the bathroom door like smoke signals, humming some off-key trap remix of Future's latest track. That man couldn't carry a tune if you put it in a Louis Vuitton suitcase with handles, but he always sang in the shower like he was auditioning for The Masked Singer, always thought he sounded better than he did, always had that confidence that bordered on delusion. I was lounging on our king-sized bed, the Egyptian cotton sheets we'd picked out together during that impulsive Saturday afternoon trip to West Elm in Atlantic Station, still smelling faintly of his Tom Ford cologne mixed with my Chanel No. 5. The 800 thread count fabric cool against my skin as I scrolled through Netflix recommendations trying to decide if I wanted to commit to another true crime documentary or finally start that Korean drama my girl Keisha kept hyping up. The bedroom was our sanctuary, exposed brick walls we'd paid extra for because it felt authentic urban loft, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Peachtree Street where you could watch the city pulse 24 stories below. A walk-in closet that was bigger than my first apartment that now held his sneaker collection worth probably $15,000 and my dress collection that rivaled some boutiques, and that ridiculous $4,000 Tempur-Pedic mattress he'd insisted on buying because kings need to sleep like kings. Bored and restless, scrolling past the same recommendations I'd been ignoring for weeks, that familiar gut twist hit me, the one that cybersecurity pros like me trust more than any antivirus scan, more than any firewall alert, more than any penetration test result. It's the same instinct that had saved me from clicking phishing emails at work, the same sixth sense that had warned me when that contractor tried to overcharge us for the kitchen renovation, the same inner voice that Granny called discernment and Mema called women's intuition and I called pattern recognition from years of being lied to by men who thought I was too pretty to be smart. His iPhone 13 Pro Max was charging on the nightstand, that ridiculous gold color he'd chosen because it matches my Rolex, screen lighting up with a new notification that made that familiar Apple chime sound. I picked it up, heart pounding like a 808 bass drop in a Migos song, but hands steady as a surgeon's because years of dealing with high-pressure situations at work had taught me how to control my physical response even when my mind was racing. The phone was warm from charging, the screen bright even in the grey morning light filtering through our blackout curtains that never quite blocked out the entire city glow. Why not? Trust is earned, and lately, his late work nights had been stacking up like unpaid bills, like excuses that didn't quite add up, like receipts that told a different story than his mouth did. The message thread from Kendra, and yes, he had a heart emoji next to her name, like he wasn't even trying to hide it, like he thought I was too naive or too trusting or too busy to notice, popped open like a venomous snake uncoiling from tall grass, ready to strike. Missed you last night, Daddy. That hotel was fire. When you leaving her for real? Can't wait to wake up as your main. Attached were photos, nudes that made my stomach churn like I'd eaten bad seafood from that sketchy gas station on Moreland Avenue, her light-skinned body posed in ways that were clearly meant for his eyes only, angles that took effort and planning and the kind of desperation that comes from being somebody's secret. Timestamps from a Buckhead Ritz-Carlton suite dating back to June-4 whole months of lies, heart emojis and hotel receipts piling up like evidence in a federal RICO case, like prosecution exhibits, like the kind of digital trail that would make my cybersecurity colleagues shake their heads at his poor operational security. I scrolled up, fingers swiping through months of messages with the clinical detachment of an investigator reviewing case files, my heartbeat surprisingly calm despite the nuclear bomb that had just detonated in my chest. May, baby, you coming through tonight? I'm wearing that thing you like, April. Tell her you got a work dinner again, LOL March. Receipts from Ruth's Chris, from the sundial, From every upscale spot we'd been to together, except he'd been taking her while I thought he was working late or having boys' night with Marcus and Dre. My heart sank like a stone tossed into Lake Lanny, ripples spreading through every dream we'd built, that midtown wedding that would never happen, those future children who would never exist, that forever that had an expiration date I hadn't known about, that empire we were supposed to build together that was apparently just my empire all along, and he was just along for the ride until something better came along, or until he got bored, or until he decided I wasn't worth being faithful to anymore. But tears? Nah. Queens don't cry first. We collect receipts. We document. We build cases. We gather evidence like prosecutors preparing for trial. With surgical precision honed from years of documenting security breaches and compiling audit reports, I screenshot every incriminating thread, late-night confessions where he told her things he'd never told me, explicit photos that would make a porn star blush, lies layered thicker than the grime on his soul, promises about leaving her soon that he'd apparently been making since June, discussions about apartments they'd looked at together, conversations about trips they wanted to take to Miami and Cancun, and all the places he'd told Emmy would go someday when work calms down. I placed the phone back exactly as I found it, screen facing up at the precise angle I'd picked it up from, charging cable in the same position, making sure nothing looked disturbed, because the first rule of intelligence gathering is never let your target know they've been compromised. I fluffed the pillow on his side of the bed, adjusted the throw blanket we'd gotten from Home Goods during that Sunday afternoon shopping trip where we'd laughed about our future home and picked out decorative shit we didn't need, and waited. Waited with the patience of a sniper in position. Waited with the calm of someone who just discovered they held all the power. Waited with the silence of a storm gathering strength. He stepped out minutes later, towel slung low on those sculpted V-lines that had first caught my attention 3 years ago at that Morehouse Spellman mixer where he'd been networking with other young black professionals trying to climb the corporate ladder, water droplets tracing paths down his chest like they were mapping territory they'd conquered 1,000 times before, his locks hanging heavy and wet past his shoulders, steam following him out of the bathroom like he was some kind of music video protagonist. He looked good, damns him. He still looked good, abs defined from those 5 a.m. gym sessions he never missed, skin glistening, that confident swagger that came from never having been truly challenged by a woman who saw through his bullshit. I flashed my $1 million smile, the one that had closed deals at work and melted hearts at networking events, the one I'd practiced in mirrors since I was 16, and realized that pretty girls who smiled got further than pretty girls who didn't. The one that said everything is fine even when everything was burning down around me. Babe, eggs or oatmeal this morning? Silence weapon number 1, activated. My voice was honey smooth, not a single crack or waver, not a hint of the nuclear devastation happening behind my sternum where my heart was supposedly located, but felt more like ground zero of an atomic blast. I was pleasant, domestic, exactly the girlfriend he expected to find when he walked out of that bathroom smelling like Dove Men Plus Care body wash and Betrayal. He grinned, oblivious as a child on Christmas morning who doesn't know his parents are filing for divorce in January, pulling me in for a kiss that I accepted with the same warmth I'd given him yesterday before I knew, before the scales fell from my eyes, before I realized I'd been sleeping next to a stranger for 4 months minimum. His lips tasted like Colgate and lies. Eggs, ma. You the best wifey ever. Wifey. The word tasted like ash in my mouth, like copper pennies, like the bitter residue of trust that had curdled into something toxic. But I swallowed it down, smiled wider, and headed to the kitchen to whip up his breakfast ritual, the same breakfast I'd made him probably 300 times over 3 years. The same eggs sunny side up with crispy edges, just how he liked them, because God forbid the edges be soft, The same turkey bacon sizzling in the cast-iron skillet we'd bought together at Williams-Sonoma, where the sales associate had congratulated us on building a home together, the same fresh squeezed orange juice from the expensive organic oranges he insisted on buying from Whole Foods because regular Tropicana wasn't good enough for his refined palate. I moved through the kitchen with practiced efficiency, our open-concept loft filled with the sounds and smells of domestic bliss, bacon popping and hissing, eggs sizzling in real butter, none of that margarine nonsense, he'd said, the coffee maker gurgling as it brewed his preferred dark roast from that bougie coffee shop in Virginia Highland that charged $22 a pound and called it artisanal. Our kitchen was magazine-worthy white marble countertops we'd saved up for, stainless steel appliances that cost more than my first car, open shelving displaying the matching dish set we'd registered for even though we weren't engaged because he'd said might as well start building our home now, pendant lights hanging over the island where we'd shared so many meals and conversations and moments that I'd thought were building toward forever but were apparently just filler content in his double life. He ate heartily, shoveling eggs and bacon into his mouth like a man without a care in the world, scrolling through Instagram on his phone, the same phone that held evidence of his affair, that held months of lies, that held conversations with her while he sat across from me, chuckling at memes, showing me a funny video of someone's grandma dancing to Megan Thee Stallion. He posted a quick IG story of me standing at the stove in one of his oversized t-shirts that hit mid-thigh, him at the counter with his plate, caption, #morning blessings, #power couple, #black love, #she keeps me fed. Within minutes, comments flooded in from our 2,000 plus combined followers, from his fraternity brothers and my source, from co-workers and family and friends who believed the carefully curated narrative winnow I had built, your goals FRFR black love win. When you getting married though? Relationship I'm tryna have, she a real one? Hold on to her bro. I was dying inside, each comment a nail in the coffin of the relationship I'd thought we had, each fire emoji a reminder that everyone saw the performance but nobody saw the truth, each heart a mockery of what I'd believed we shared. But outside, glowing harder than ever, smiling in that candid photo he'd snapped without asking, looking like the picture of domestic happiness, looking like a woman who had it all figured out, looking like someone who didn't know her man was raw-dogging his side chick at the Ritz-Carlton while she made him breakfast at home. Love you, Ma, he said as he grabbed his keys, the keys to the BMW I'd helped him negotiate the price down on, using my credit score to get a better interest rate because his was temporarily low from some forgotten bills. He kissed my forehead, the same forehead he'd kissed 1,000 times, the same gesture of affection that meant nothing now, that was just muscle memory, just part of the routine. Love you too, I said, and wasn't it funny how easy it was to lie when you'd been lied to? How simple it was to mirror his deception. How natural it felt to smile and wave as he walked out the door, headed to his six-figure job at that tech firm downtown where he managed a team of developers and analysts, where he was known as a great leader and a team player and someone with real potential for VP track, where nobody knew he was the kind of man who'd betray the woman who'd supported him through his transition from his previous job, who'd proofread his resume, who'd practiced interview questions with him over wine and takeout, who'd celebrated with him when he got the offer. The door clicked shut, his footsteps echoing down the hallway toward the elevator, and I stood in our kitchen surrounded by the remnants of breakfast, greasy plates and empty orange juice glasses and the lingering smell of bacon, and I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't throw dishes or call him 100 times or text him paragraphs of rage and hurt and betrayal. I smiled. Because queens don't react in the moment. Queens plan. Queens strategize. Queens play the long game. That entire week, I became the perfect girlfriend on steroids, a performance worthy of an Oscar, a Tony, an Emmy, every goddamn award they gave for acting because I was acting, playing a role, embodying a character named Ayesha who doesn't know her man is cheating. Monday, I made smothered collard greens with smoked turkey neck, slow-cooked for 6 hours until they were tender enough to melt on your tongue, paired with honey cornbread crackling hot from the oven. That real cornbread with the crispy edges and the moist center that takes skill, and Granny's recipe card stained with decades of use, and fried chicken so crispy it snapped under the fork like my resolve was about to, seasoned with my secret blend that he always bragged about to his boys, calling me the best cook in Atlanta, like that was my primary value, like my ability to season poultry was my greatest accomplishment. Tuesday, his favorite shrimp and grits, creamy stone-ground grits I'd special ordered from that place in Charleston where his family was from originally, loaded with andouille sausage and jumbo shrimp I'd peeled and deveined myself because the pre-cleaned ones don't taste the same, topped with a Cajun cream sauce that took 45 minutes of constant stirring but was so worth it according to him, according to the man who was eating my cooking while planning his exit to another woman's bed. I poured his coffee black, just how he liked, no sugar, no cream, straight bitterness mirroring his soul, though he didn't know I was making that connection every morning as I handed him his favorite mug, the one that said Black Excellence that his frat brother had gotten him for his birthday. Each morning kiss on the cheek before he left for work felt like loading a chamber, like cocking a gun, like preparing ammunition for a war he didn't know was coming. I was pleasant and affectionate and domestic and everything a man like Jamal thought he wanted in a woman, cooking his meals and keeping the house clean and looking good when we went out and being supportive of his career and not asking too many questions about where he'd been or why he was late or who he was texting at 11 p.m. while we watched Netflix. He thrived on it, posting more couple pics to his Instagram story like he was trying to convince himself as much as everyone else, us at the Georgia Aquarium standing in front of the whale sharks, hands intertwined, his caption, #Queen and King #blessed man #she loves me, us at Ponce City Market sharing bayonets from the food hall, powdered sugar on my lips that he'd wiped off tenderly for the camera, caption, #date night #keeping the spark #3 years strong, us at Piedmont Park during golden hour, the skyline behind us, my head on his shoulder, caption, #my ride or die #building an empire #black love matters. The likes poured in, hundreds of them from people who believed, who bought the fantasy, who thought they were witnessing something real and aspirational and worth emulating. His mama commented with heart emojis and my babies. His sister Tasha wrote cutest couple ever FR. His frat brothers dropped big bro winning and hold on to this one. But behind his back, while he was at work or in the shower or passed out from one too many Hennessy's on a Friday night, I fired up my laptop and got to work. First move. LinkedIn overhauled. I updated my profile with surgical precision, every word carefully chosen, every detail strategically placed. Experienced cybersecurity analyst seeking senior leadership roles in ethical, integrity-driven environments. Passionate about building cultures of transparency and trust. Committed to organizations where values aren't just words on a wall. Subtle. Professional. But anyone who knew how to read between lines, anyone in our industry, anyone at his company would catch the subtext. Ethics. Integrity. Transparency. Trust. All the things Jamal was demonstrating he lacked. I hit up Industry Mixers solo networking events at the Georgia Tech Conference Center where tech professionals gathered to drink craft cocktails and exchange business cards and talk about disruption and innovation and all the buzzwords that made people feel important. I'd show up looking immaculate, tailored blazer from Zara, silk blouse from Nordstrom Rack, slacks that fit perfectly, my box braids styled in an elegant bun, minimal makeup except for that red lip that had become my signature, carrying my leather portfolio and radiating the kind of confidence that makes people want to know you. I worked the room like a politician, sipping cucumber martinis while dropping gems, planting seeds in fertile soil. Jamal's so lucky to have such a solid team at TechSphere. Loyalty is everything in business and life. Pause for effect, meaningful eye contact, let them interpret. His coworker Marcus, a senior developer who'd been to our place for game nights and barbecues, nodded knowingly over his bourbon. Yeah, man, integrity first. That's what separates good leaders from great ones. Absolutely, I agreed, smiling that smile. Character is who you are when nobody's watching, right? Seeds planted. Sprouting in the minds of people who saw Jamal every day, who would now watch him differently, who would start noticing things they'd previously overlooked. I connected with 5 new people from his company that night alone, all of them accepting my LinkedIn request within hours, all of them now seeing my profile updates, all of them following my professional journey, all of them part of a network I was carefully cultivating for reasons they didn't understand yet. Jamal started slipping by Friday, checking his phone every 5 minutes during dinner at our favorite Thai place in Decatur, the one we'd been going to since our first year together when we were broker and happier, and he wasn't fucking Kendra from God knows where. Sweat beaded on his forehead when I hugged him too long, when I held on just a beat past comfortable, when my arms wrapped around his waist and I could feel him tense like he was hiding something, because he was, like my touch that used to comfort him now made him anxious, because guilt is exhausting, like he was waiting for the other shoe to drop, because subconsciously he knew. You good, Ayesha? You seem different. Distant or something. His eyes searched mine looking for clues, trying to read me, trying to figure out if I knew, if I suspected, if his carefully constructed house of cards was about to tumble. I laughed, deep and throaty, the sound echoing off the exposed brick walls of our loft, genuine enough to sell the performance. Never better, baby. Why you ask? I tilted my head, played innocent, played naive, played the role of the trusting girlfriend who would never think to look through his phone or question his late nights or wonder why he showered immediately after getting home from work, drinks with the team. Just, you been real quiet lately. Real smiley but quiet. It's different. Maybe I'm just happy, I offered, which wasn't entirely a lie. I was happy I'd discovered the truth, happy I was planning my exit, happy I was about to teach him the most expensive lesson of his life. Pass the remote, want to watch that new episode of Power. He handed it over, relieved to change the subject, to escape the uncomfortable scrutiny, to return to the familiar pattern of us on the couch watching TV like a normal couple, like everything was fine, like his phone wasn't currently buzzing with messages from Kendra asking when he'd be free tomorrow night. Inside, I was architecting his downfall with the same precision I used to design security systems at work. Every move calculated. Every action purposeful. Every silence strategic. That night, after he'd fallen asleep, he always fell asleep first, sprawled across his side of the bed like he owned it, snoring softly, completely unconscious to the danger sleeping beside him. I synced his Apple Watch data through our shared iCloud family plan. Skills from my day job pay dividends in unexpected ways. His health app told stories his mouth wouldn't. Exercise sessions logged at 11 p.m. on Tuesdays, when he told me he was working late, heart rate elevated and sustained for 30-minute intervals that matched nothing close to his actual gym schedule. Location data from his watch's GPS, repeated visits to an address in Buckhead 3560 Piedmont Road NE, Unit 2204, an upscale high-rise condo building with a rooftop pool and 24/7 valet parking, and starting prices around $450K. Kendra's place. Had to be. I cross-referenced the address with property records, public information, easily accessible, another perk of knowing how to navigate databases. Unit 2204 was owned by K. Thompson. Kendra Thompson. I found her Instagram in 3 minutes at Kendra Lives Lux, light-skinned, long weave, body done, obviously, posing in front of said rooftop pool in a bikini that probably cost more than my monthly car payment, Captions about living my best life and blessed and unbothered and good vibes only. Her profile was public. Amateur. I scrolled through months of photos, her at Magic City throwing ones, at slutty vegan eating messy burgers, at rooftop bars with other overdone women in bandage dresses and bundles, and here's the kicker: several posts from restaurants I recognized because Jamal and I had been there. The Sun Dial in August, he'd told me he was at a work dinner. Rays on the River in July, boys' night, he'd said. Cut's Steakhouse in June, first month of the affair, apparently, still, 0 words to him. Not a question. Not an accusation. Not a single indication that I knew anything. Silence. Power move number 2, wardrobe glow up. Saturday morning, I went shopping alone, telling him I needed girl time to clear my head, which he encouraged because guilty men love when their women give them space to sneak around. I hit Lenox Square and went fucking OFF. Red bodycon dress from Nordstrom $180, hugging my thick thighs and 38DD curves like a second skin, the kind of dress that stops traffic, that makes women jealous and men stupid, that says look at what you're going to lose. Gold hoop earrings 6-inch diameter, the statement kind that Cardi B would approve of, that swayed when I walked and caught light from every angle. New stilettos from Aldo, black patent leather, 4-inch heels, the kind that made my legs look endless and my walk look purposeful, that clicked against floors with authority, that announced my presence before I entered a room. I came home with shopping bags and did a try-on session in our bedroom mirror while he watched football in the living room, pretending to be the excited girlfriend showing off her new purchases, modeling each outfit like it was for him when really I was preparing my armor for battle, selecting weapons for war. He noticed immediately when I slipped on the red dress that evening I'd told him I was going to girls' night at Tasha's place, his sister, ironically, who I was starting to build a separate relationship with, another strategic move. But really I was going to a wine bar in Virginia Highland by myself to think and plan and be alone with my thoughts. Damn, Ma, you tryna kill me tonight? His eyes widened, traveling up my body with obvious appreciation mixed with something else: possessiveness, insecurity, fear that I was dressing like this for someone else the way he was showering before work meetings for Kendra. His hands wandered, pulling me close, gripping my waist, kissing my neck like he was trying to mark territory, like he was trying to convince himself I was still his even though he'd given up the right to claim me the moment he'd slipped his dick into someone else. You look too good. Maybe stay home instead. Subtext: I don't want you out looking like that where other men can see you, where you might realize you have options, where you might do exactly what I've been doing. I smiled, extracted myself gently. Promised the girls I'd come through. Won't be late. I kissed his cheek, the kind of peck you give a relative, and headed for the door, my heels clicking against the hardwood, hips swaying deliberately, knowing he was watching, knowing he was confused, knowing the power had shifted and he could feel it even if he couldn't articulate it. But my mind, miles away, plotting checkmate while he played checkers. The wine bar was called VIN25, tucked into a quiet corner of Virginia Highland where white folks with money and black professionals with ambition mingled over $15 glasses of Pinot Noir and charcuterie boards that cost $30 but only had like 6 pieces of cheese and some fancy crackers. I sat alone at the bar, myself, and I ordered a Malbec from Argentina that the bartender recommended, something bold and full-bodied with notes of blackberry and chocolate according to the menu, and I just, Saturday, sat with my thoughts. Sat with my rage that was simmering beneath this calm exterior like magma beneath the earth's crust, hot and destructive and waiting for the right moment to erupt. Sat with the realization that the last 3 years had been partially a lie, that 4 months ago something shifted and he'd decided I wasn't enough, that some light-skinned woman with a condo in Buckhead and a taste for hotel sex was worth throwing away what we'd built. The bartender, a white guy with a man bun and sleeve tattoos who probably had a podcast about craft beer, tried to make conversation. Here alone. That dress is way too fire to be flying solo. I smiled politely. Sometimes you need to sit with yourself, you know? Clear your head. I feel that. Heavy thoughts or just vibes? Strategy, I said, taking a sip of wine that tasted expensive and bitter and perfect. Sometimes the best move is no move at all. Just watch. Just wait. He nodded like he understood, but he didn't. How could he? He'd never had his entire reality revealed to be a carefully constructed facade. He'd never discovered that the person sleeping next to him was living a whole separate life. He'd never had to smile through breakfast while planning someone's social and professional destruction. My phone buzzed. Jamal, miss you already, baby. Come home soon. I stared at the message for a full minute, watching those three dots appear and disappear as he typed and deleted, probably trying to figure out the right thing to say to keep me close, to keep me unsuspecting, to maintain the lie that I didn't respond. Just left him on read. Let him wonder. Let him worry. Let him feel a fraction of the uncertainty I'd felt scrolling through his messages to Kendra, seeing timestamps and hotel receipts and promises of forever that he'd been making to two women simultaneously. By the time I got home 2 hours later, only 2 hours, but I'd told him I'd be back late, so he'd spent those 120 minutes wondering, imagining, spiraling. He was pacing the living room, TV off, phone in hand. Where you been? I texted you. Not angry, not accusatory, but nervous. Like he was the one who should be worried about what I was doing. Like the tables had turned and he could feel it but couldn't name it. Told you, girls' night. We went to that wine bar in VA High. Lost track of time. I kicked off my heels, set down my purse, moved through the space like everything was normal. You didn't post nothing on IG. Interesting. So he'd been checking. Monitoring. Making sure I was where I said I'd be, doing what I said I'd do, being the good girl he needed me to be while he was out here playing both sides. Not everything needs to be posted, babe. Sometimes you just live in the moment. I headed toward the bedroom, unzipping the red dress as I walked, letting it slide down my body, standing there in my matching La Perla lingerie set, black lace, $200, bought it for myself because I was worth it, because my body was a temple and I was the goddess that resided there, not him. He followed like a puppy, hands reaching for me, trying to pull me close, trying to reassert control through physical intimacy the way men do when they feel power slipping away. I let him touch me. Let him kiss me. Let him think he still had access, still had ownership, still had me, but in my mind, I was already gone, already 3 steps ahead, already planning Sunday. Sunday morning came with church bells and cognitive dissonance. We attended Greater Bethany Baptist Church, the same church where his mama had been a member for 30 years, where his daddy had been buried 5 years ago with a service so packed people stood in the aisles, where I'd been going with him every Sunday for the past 2 years because a couple that prays together stays together, according to Mama Carter. The building was historic, built in 1923, mahogany pews polished from generations of prayer and tears and testimony, stained glass windows depicting scenes from the Bible with light streaming through in reds and golds and blues, a choir loft where 20 voices in purple robes would lift praise so high you'd swear you could see heaven opening up, and a pulpit where Reverend Hayes commanded respect with his booming voice and his encyclopedic knowledge of Scripture and his tendency to preach until 2 p.m. if the Spirit really moved him. We sat in our pew 3rd row from the front on the left side, same spot every Sunday, near enough to show we were serious about the word but not so close that we looked like we were trying too hard. Jamal held my hand during praise and worship as Sister Jenkins led us in total praise, and the congregation swayed and clapped, and some folks caught the Holy Ghost right there during the second verse. Sister Thompson shouting and running down the aisle while the ushers in their white gloves tried to catch her before she hurt herself. I sang along, voice blending with hundreds of others, hands raised like I was really feeling it, really connecting with the divine, really open to receiving a word, when actually I was thinking about Kendra's Instagram, about hotel receipts, about the Apple Watch data that showed his heart rate spiking at midnight on Tuesday. Reverend Hayes took the pulpit after the choir sat down, opened his Bible with the dramatic flair of a man who'd been preaching for 40 years, adjusted his glasses, and began church. Today I want to talk to you about fidelity. Jamal shifted next to me. I felt it. That subtle, uncomfortable movement of a man whose conscience, if he still had one, was being prodded. Fidelity, church. Fidelity, faithfulness. Loyalty. The commitment to honor your word, honor your vows, honor the people who have placed their trust in you. The church responded, preach. Yes, sir. Come on now. See, the problem with some folk, and I'm talking to somebody here today, the problem is they want the benefits of loyalty without the discipline of faithfulness. From the mothers in their church hats sitting in the front row. They want someone to cook their meals, clean their house, support their dreams, be faithful to them. But they can't do the same in return. Tell it. Reverend Hayes was warming up now, voice rising, sweat starting to bead on his forehead even though the AC was blasting. And church, let me tell you something the Bible says in Proverbs 5 verse 18, let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth. Wife. Not wives. Not woman on the side. Not hotel rendezvous when you supposed to be working. Wife. Jamal's palm was sweating in mine. I held on tighter, gave a little squeeze like I was agreeing with the message, like I was so glad we had such a solid, faithful relationship, like this sermon wasn't a cosmic joke being played on him specifically. Some of y'all got good women at home, talking good women, praying women, cooking women, ride or die women, and you out here acting a fool. The church erupted. Women standing, fanning themselves with those funeral home fans, shouting preach pastor, while the men looked uncomfortable, while Jamal looked like he wanted to sink through the floor, while I sat there looking like the perfect picture of a woman who had no idea her man was one of the exact fools the Reverend was calling out. And Reverend Hayes paused for effect. Let the silence hang heavy, God sees all secrets. Every text message. Every lie. Every hotel room. Every betrayal. You might hide it from your woman, might hide it from your family, might hide it from your friends, but you can't hide it from God. Amen. And let me tell you what happens when you break trust. He was really going now, voice thundering, hand pounding the pulpit. You don't just break a heart. You break a covenant. You break a foundation. You crack the whole house, and when the storms come, and they will come, that house is gonna fall. And great will be the fall of it. The organ played dramatic chords underneath, the choir hummed, people were on their feet, and Jamal was sitting there looking like he'd been personally attacked by Jesus himself. After service, we did the usual, greeted Mama Carter, who hugged me tight and told Jamal, you better treat this one right. Boy, she's a keeper. Stood in line for the after-church meal in the fellowship hall, fried chicken, collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, cornbread, basically Thanksgiving dinner every Sunday, made. Small talk with the deacons and the ushers and the other young couples who were doing things right by going to church together. Sister Patterson, a woman in her 70s who'd been married 52 years and wasn't shy about giving advice, grabbed my hand. Baby girl, you got a good man there. I can tell. The way he looks at you, that's real love. Don't let the world tell you different. Hold on to him. I smiled sweetly. Yes, I'm blessed. If only she knew. If only ANY of them knew. But that was the thing about performances: if you play the role well enough, people believe it. They want to believe it. They want to believe black love works, that young couples can make it, that church-going people are different from the heathens in the streets. Post-service brunch happened at Mary Mac's Tea Room, a southern institution in Midtown that had been serving fried chicken and sweet tea since 1945, where the waitresses called you honey and the portions could feed a family of 4, and the walls were covered in photos of celebrities and politicians who'd eaten there over the decades. We slid into a booth, red vinyl seats cracked with age and charm, and ordered him the fried chicken with mac and cheese and collard greens, me the pot roast with mashed potatoes and green beans, both of us sweet tea so sugary it could give you diabetes just from looking at it. His cousin Dre and his girl Simone were at the table next to us, and we pulled our tables together like we always did, made it a family thing, laughed and talked and posed for pictures that would get posted with hashtags like #Sunday Fundery, #Black Excellence, #Churchflow. I was charming. Engaging. Asked Simone about her new job at Coca-Cola headquarters, congratulated Dre on his promotion at the insurance company, laughed at their jokes, complimented Simone's dress from Fashion Nova, played the role of the cool girlfriend who got along with everybody, who was easy and fun and drama-free. But then I dropped lines. Casual. Strategic. Seeds planted in soil that would sprout later. Trust is really the foundation of everything, you know? Without trust. I trailed off, shook my head, sipped my tea. The whole thing just crumbles. Simone nodded enthusiastically. Girl, yes. I always tell Dre, if I can't trust you with my phone password, I can't trust you with my heart. Dre laughed nervously. Baby, you know you got all my passwords. I'm just saying, I continued, voice light and conversational, loyalty is everything. In relationships. In business. In family. You crack that trust and the whole house falls. I was quoting Reverend Hayes now, using the sermon as cover, and Jamal shifted in his seat, forced a smile. Facts, Dre agreed. Ayesha always dropping gems. That's why you good for my cousin, keeping him on the right path. If only he knew his cousin was already way off the path, lost in the woods, about to fall off a cliff he didn't see coming. That night, after we'd gotten home and changed out of our church clothes, him in basketball shorts and a Morehouse t-shirt, me in leggings and one of his hoodies that smelled like his cologne, we lay in bed scrolling our phones in that companionable silence that couples develop when they've been together long enough that they don't need to fill every moment with conversation, except it wasn't companionable anymore. It was loaded. Heavy. Every moment of silence was me collecting data, planning moves, preparing for endgame. He was scrolling TikTok, laughing at dumb videos, occasionally showing me one like look at this babe when it was particularly funny. I pretended to scroll Instagram but was actually in my notes app, documenting evidence collected, screenshots, 47 total from text thread with Kendra, hotel receipts, 8, June-October, totaling $3,200, Apple Watch location data, 23 visits to 3560, Piedmont Road Northeast. Instagram cross-reference, 6 matching restaurant locations, financial. Joint account shows $4,800 in cash withdrawals over 4 months, likely for Kendra. Next steps. Transfer my half of savings to personal account, secure new job offer, build social narrative, continue perfect girlfriend performance, document everything, maintain complete silence about knowledge, let him destroy himself. His phone buzzed. He checked it quickly, shifted away from me slightly, typed a response. Who's that? I asked casually, not looking up from my phone. Marcus. About work stuff. Lie. I could tell by the way his voice pitched up slightly at the end, the way he didn't offer details, the way he angled his phone away. Cool, I said. Didn't press. Didn't question. Just filed it away in my mental folder marked more evidence of deception. We fell asleep like that, him first, always first, snoring softly while I lay awake staring at the ceiling, feeling him next to me but feeling more alone than I'd ever felt, mourning the relationship I'd thought we had while simultaneously being grateful I'd discovered the truth before I'd gotten in any deeper, before there was a ring or a marriage license or a child tying me to this man who'd proven himself unworthy of my loyalty. Week 2 dawned, and silence evolved from weapon to superpower. An invisible web tightening around Jamal's world, threads he couldn't see but could feel, a trap he'd walked into willingly, a prison of his own construction. The catalyst was his family's annual BBQ held the second Saturday of October every year without fail at his mama's sprawling backyard in East Atlanta Village, in the house where Jamal had grown up, where his daddy had taught him to play basketball in the driveway before the cancer took him, where Mama Carter had raised 5 children on a teacher's salary and pure determination. The backyard was set up like a Southern Living magazine spread, 2 big grills smoking with hickory and charcoal, ribs falling off the bone in sticky sweet perfection after 6 hours of slow cooking with Mama Carter's secret rub that she'd inherited from her mama. Tables covered in red checkered tablecloths loaded down with sides mac and cheese creamy as sin baked in those disposable aluminum pans from Sam's Club, collard greens cooked with smoked turkey, neck and vinegar and hot sauce, baked beans thick and molasses sweet with bacon bits throughout, potato salad loaded with eggs and pickles and mustard the way black folks make it, cornbread muffins golden and buttery, sweet tea in those big glass dispensers with the spigots, and a dessert table that could cause diabetic comas just from looking, banana pudding with vanilla wafers and meringue, peach cobbler with vanilla ice cream melting on top, sweet potato pie, chocolate cake, and Mama Carter's famous pound cake that was so dense and rich it needed to be cut with a serrated knife. The whole Carter clan turned out because you didn't miss Mama Carter's barbecue unless you were dead or deployed. Mama Carter herself in her floral apron wielding tongs like a scepter, ruling her domain with love and hot sauce. Sisters Tasha, 25, marketing degree from Spelman, engaged to a Morehouse man who was in law school, and LaToya, 30, married with 2 kids, worked as a nurse at Grady Hospital. Cousins firing up the cornhole boards and arguing about whether the Falcons would ever win a Super Bowl. Uncles standing around the grill drinking Bud Light and Hennessy talking about politics and sports and how things were different back in their day. Aunties in lawn chairs fanning themselves and gossiping about who was pregnant and who was getting divorced and whose son was on that stuff. And children seemed like 40 of them running through the sprinklers and playing tag and eating their weight in ribs and watermelon. Jamal and I arrived around 2 p.m. fashionably late because he'd been handling some work emails that took an hour longer than expected, which I now knew meant he was texting Kendra, and immediately got swept into the chaos of family. "There's my baby." Mama Carter descended on us like a loving tornado, pulling Jamal into a hug that seemed to squeeze the air out of him, then turning to me with arms wide open, and my future daughter-in-law. "Girl, you look good. You doing something different with your hair?" I'd gotten my braids redone yesterday fresh, neat, tight to the scalp with the parts sharp enough to cut, hanging down to my waist, new braiding hair that cost $200 for the premium quality that didn't frizz or look cheap. "Just got them done, Mama Carter. You like, baby I love. Jamal, you better wife her up before somebody else does." He laughed nervously, kissed his mama's cheek. "Working on it, Ma." Lies. He was working on it with Kendra, apparently. Planning futures with 2 women like he was living in some alternate universe where that was acceptable. I helped set up the dessert table, chatted with aunties, played with the kids, did all the girlfriend things, smiled for family photos, made plates for the elders who couldn't get up easily, was generally the picture of the perfect addition to the Carter family. And then as he arrived, Kendra bold as brass, her light-skinned frame poured into cut-off denim shorts that rode so high you could basically see her whole ass, a crop top showing off her flat stomach and the belly button ring that caught the sun, hair laid obviously a fresh install, probably cost $400, bundles from some Instagram vendor who shipped from China, makeup beat for the gods even though this was a casual backyard barbecue, heels, to a barbecue that made her legs look longer but also made her sink into the grass with every step she spotted me, and for a split second I saw calculation in her eyes, the other woman meeting the main woman, trying to assess the competition, trying to figure out if I knew, trying to gauge whether she should run or play it cool. She chose play it cool, walked right up to me with arms open like we were long-lost Saurus, fake hugging me while her perfume some cheap Ariana Grande shit from Ulta clashed with the grill smoke. "Hey, girl. You must be Ayesha. Jamal talks about you all the time. Love your braids, they're fire." I smiled wide, teeth gleaming, pageant perfect. "Thanks, hun. Yours look amazing too, really brings out your eyes." Inside, lava bubbled, ready to erupt, ready to burn everything down, ready to drag her by that expensive weave across this backyard while all of Jamal's family watched. But nah.no scene. Queens feast first, fight smart. Here, try the potato salad Mama Carter makes the best in Atlanta. I passed her a plate, loaded it up with food myself, played the gracious girlfriend, the woman who had no idea this bitch had been fucking her man in hotel rooms while I was at home meal prepping and planning our future. "Girl, thank you. You're so sweet. I can see why Jamal loves you." She had the audacity to say that to my face while knowing she'd been texting him when you leaving her for real. "We're blessed," I said simply, maintaining eye contact, letting her see nothing but warmth and naivety and the image of a woman who suspected nothing. Jamal was watching us from across the yard, beer frozen halfway to his mouth, eyes wide with panic, probably mentally calculating how bad this could go, probably hoping Kendra wouldn't say anything stupid, probably praying I wouldn't somehow figure it out just from them being in the same space. That I waved at him, smiled, mouthed "love you." He relaxed slightly. Poor baby. Had no idea the noose was tightening. We ate under the string lights that Mama Carter had hung between the trees, the kind with Edison bulbs that cast warm amber glows as dusk fell over East Atlanta, laughter echoing through the yard while kids chased fireflies and uncles argued good-naturedly about whether Outkast or Goody Mob was the better Atlanta hip-hop group. The air smelled like hickory smoke and summer ending, like family and tradition and all the things that should have made this moment perfect, except it was built on lies. Kendra positioned herself strategically, not too close to Jamal to be obvious, but close enough to flirt. I watched with clinical detachment as she laughed too loud at his cousin Dre's jokes, as she touched Jamal's arm accidentally when reaching for the hot sauce, as her foot found his under the picnic table and pressed against it while she maintained innocent eye contact with Mama Carter talking about her job at some marketing firm downtown. I refilled drink sweet tea and lemonade and water bottles from the cooler, complimented Mama Carter's banana pudding that was layered thick with vanilla wafers and meringue peaks that could give you a sugar high just from looking at them, helped clean up paper plates and napkins and the general chaos that comes with 40 people eating outside, stacked plates silently while my eyes darted and my mind recorded every detail. "Ayesha, baby, you don't have to do all that," Mama Carter protested, trying to take the trash bag from my hands. "You're a guest. Mama Carter, you know I'm family. Family helps." I kissed her cheek, continued cleaning, and continued playing the role of the perfect future daughter-in-law while Kendra sat on her ass taking selfies with her fried chicken plate, posting to her Instagram story with location tags and hashtags like #FamilyVibes, #SummerCookout, #Blessed. After most folks had left the families with small kids heading home for bedtime routines, The older relatives claiming early morning church obligations, the cousins who had to work in the morning. A smaller group remained: Jamal and me, Tasha and her fiancé Cameron, Dre and Simone, LaToya and her husband Marcus, different Marcus than the co-worker, and somehow Kendra was still there, sitting next to the fire pit that someone had started, roasting marshmallows and laughing with the girls like she belonged. Tasha, who'd been eyeing Kendra with barely concealed suspicion all evening because Tasha was smart, observant, had those big sister instincts that detected bullshit, sidled up next to me while I was washing dishes in Mama Carter's kitchen, the warm soapy water up to my elbows, the window over the sink giving me a perfect view of the backyard where Jamal was standing too close to Kendra by the fire pit. "Sis." Tasha's voice was low, conspiratorial. "Who is that girl?" I kept washing, didn't look up. "Which one?" "You know which one. The one in the shorts that belong in the bedroom, not at a family barbecue. The one who keeps looking at my brother like she wants to devour him. The one who conveniently doesn't know anybody here except Jamal. Some girl he knows from work, I think." I kept my voice neutral, passed her a clean plate to dry. And you not bothered by that?" I finally looked at her, really looked at her, and Tasha was giving me that look that women give each other when they know, when they see what's happening, when they recognize game being played. "Should I be?" She dried the plate slowly, methodically. "If my man brought some random girl to our family barbecue and she was out there dressed like that and looking at him like that, I'd be bothered. But you over here calm as hell, smiling, cleaning dishes like everything's fine." I smiled slightly. "Maybe everything is fine. Or maybe you already know something the rest of us are just figuring out. Smart girl. I could work with this. Tasha, let me ask you something." I turned off the water, dried my hands on the dish towel that said "Bless this kitchen" in cursive script. "If you knew something bad about someone you loved, would you blow everything up immediately? Or would you be strategic? Would you collect information, build a case, make sure when you moved it was with purpose?" Her eyes widened slightly. "Ayesha, I'm just asking hypothetically." I smiled, touched her arm gently. "As someone who values family. As someone who understands that sometimes the best response to chaos is calm." She stared at me for a long moment, then slowly smiled, not a happy smile, but a recognition smile, an understanding smile. "Oh shit, my future sister-in-law is about to fuck my brother up, and honestly he probably deserves it" smile. "Hypothetically," she said carefully, "I'd say that person sounds smart as hell. And I'd say that person has an ally if she needs one." I hugged her. "Good to know. For hypothetical purposes." When we went back outside, I suggested we take a group photo, everyone around the fire pit, firelight dancing on faces, marshmallow sticks in hand, that golden hour lighting that makes everyone look good. I pulled out my phone, set it up on the self-timer mode propped against a chair, and we all squeezed in. Kendra positioned herself next to Jamal. I positioned myself on his other side, arms around him, head on his shoulder, smiling like I didn't have a care in the world. Click. 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 3 photos captured perfect documentation of the night. The other woman met the main woman at a family barbecue and nobody blew up, nobody caused a scene, nobody gave Jamal the satisfaction of drama or jealousy or any reaction at all. That I posted the main photo to my Instagram within minutes. The whole group, fire pit glowing, caption, "Family is everything. Grateful for these moments. #Carter Family BBQ #blessed #Sunday Fundery" tagged everyone, including Kendra. Within an hour, the likes poured in, 300 plus, comments from friends and family and colleagues all saying the same things. "Beautiful. Family goals. You'll look so happy." Jamal saw the post and visibly relaxed. She didn't suspect. She tagged Kendra like she's just another friend. Everything's cool. Poor baby, had no idea I was building a digital paper trail, creating timestamps, documenting connections, building the narrative that would later show I knew her. I was friendly with her. I had no reason to suspect anything. I was blindsided. Poor Ayesha, except I wasn't poor Ayesha. I was strategic Ayesha. I was 3 steps ahead Ayesha. I was about to dismantle your entire life Ayesha. That night, after we'd gotten home around 11 p.m., after he'd changed into his sleeping clothes and I'd taken off my makeup and wrapped my braids in a silk scarf, after he'd scrolled through his phone one last time and plugged it in to charge, I slid into Tasha's DMs, not immediately. Waited 2 hours until I was sure Jamal was deep asleep, those soft snores that meant he was fully unconscious, dead to the world, not hearing the gentle click of my phone keyboard as I typed "me to Tasha. Sis, those job hunt tips were gold. Been meaning to tell you, saw some LinkedIn articles about professional integrity and workplace ethics that reminded me of our convos. Men be wild out here though, huh? Corporate world stays messy lol subtle. Casual. Just 2 women talking about work stuff. But the subtext was there for anyone looking. She responded within minutes. Apparently she was still up too, probably couldn't sleep after putting the pieces together earlier. Tasha, girl, tell me about it. LinkedIn is a whole soap opera. Jamal been on them late shifts again lately? Everything good with y'all? You seemed, IDK, different tonight. But like, in a powerful way? I responded with strategic emoji deployment, thinking face, eyes emoji, nail polish emoji, the unbothered indicator, zipper mouth emoji, silence is golden, Tasha, say less. I see you sis. And just so you know, whatever you need, whenever you need it, I got you. Blood is blood, but wrong is wrong. Seeds sprouting into roots, allies being cultivated, the web expanding beyond just me and into his own family structure, turning his support system into witnesses for my narrative. My personal glow-up accelerated to nuclear levels starting that Monday. 5 a.m. alarm. No snooze. Up and moving while Jamal still slept, while the city was still dark outside our floor-to-ceiling windows, while the streets below were empty except for early morning delivery trucks and the occasional night shift worker heading home. LA Fitness in Midtown became my temple. I'd been a casual gym goer before, maybe 3 times a week if I felt like it, but now it was religious. 6 days a week, 2 hours per session, with the kind of dedication that transforms bodies and builds mental fortitude simultaneously. Squats until my glutes burned and popped, until I could feel muscle forming under the curve, until I looked in that floor-to-ceiling mirror and saw myself becoming something harder, stronger, less breakable. Started with 95 pounds on the bar, embarrassingly light for someone my size, but within 2 weeks I was up to 135, then 185, working toward that